What's up, you guys? I'm back again with another video, and after popular request, I am releasing my top 3 classes, top 3 range classes going into Battle for Azeroth. And I know many of you at home right away commented on my top 3 melee DPS video and asked me to release a range version. However, I am working on some very cool stuff behind the scenes in my room and then for my studio as well as my stream, which is something that I think that you guys will be very happy with. However, it is taking up a bit of my time. And before I get into this video, and while we are on the topic of upgrades in my studio and my channel, I want to take a moment, which I think I've never really done before, to thank all of my Patreon supporters who helped me just quite frankly run this channel. It would not be possible. The upgrades that I'm doing, the things that I'm planning for my channel would not be possible. So thank you guys all so much. And if you are interested in supporting me on Patreon and joining our Patreon events where we do randomized arena tournaments, rated battlegrounds, mythic dungeons from time to time, or if you're even looking for personalized arena coaching, you can find all the information in the description box below. Now with that out of the way, let's get right into this video. Now, just like my melee DPS video, I'm going to give you 1 to 2 to 3, actually 3 range classes that I think are a solid pick going into Battle for Azeroth. However, I want to mind you that it is August 7th of 2018. These picks might change and I will update this video, so just keep that in mind. However, a few of the picks I will mention in this video I believe are very solid picks for the long term. Number 1, I'm going with mages. For the longest time, mages have done such an excellent job at staying relevant inside of the meta. They're always good in arena. They're one of the few casters that do decent in 2v2s like warlocks. They do really well in 3v3s and they have a wide variety of comps. And then in RPGs and PvE, they're always just a well-balanced, well-rounded, exceptional caster. They can deal a lot of damage. They have excellent CC control. They can kite almost better than any other caster inside of the game. And they have some of the strongest comps available to them, like Rogue, Mage, Priest. On top of that, Mage is one of the few casters like warlocks that have 3 different specs. So right now, Frost inside of Battle for Azeroth is doing extremely well. Fire is also kind of going under the radar, and Arcane has been changed significantly, well, a good bit since Legion. We're seeing a lot of Frost play, we're seeing some Fire play, and even Zico has been doing some cool things with Arcane, but it is one of the few casters that has 3 different DPS specs available to them. Shaman only has Elemental if you want to play range DPS, whereas Mages, if one spec is not doing well, it's very likely that the other spec or another spec of theirs is going to do well. So in my opinion, I think Mage is the safest pick for any range DPS going into Battle for Azeroth. However, you need to keep in mind, just like rogues, they are, in my opinion, a much more difficult class to play or to excel at than when compared to some of the other casters. You have to have amazing awareness. You have to really keep track of DRs. You have to know when to polymorph, how to fake cast. You also have to know how to land range CSs, like blink around a pillar and land a really crucial CS, spell steal. There's a lot of things that mages have to keep track of when compared to some of the other casters, which is a little bit more lax. So yes, I put Mage as my number 1, but I do not recommend Mage unless you really want to play one for players that are coming back to the game. At some point, you can pick up a Mage, but if you are coming back to the game and it's been a while, please pick up like a melee DPS or maybe another caster that I'll mention in this video. But if you are dead set on picking up a Mage, there's a lot of great streamers out there that do play Mages. Zaryu is probably the best one that you can find on Twitch, not because, well, he is an amazing player. I think I heard him say he has like 20 rank 1 titles across all of his characters. I could be mistaken, but I think it's right around that number. But he's very friendly and he answers a lot of questions. He streams very, very often. He has a great community. I highly recommend you check out his stream if you are up late at night. And then if you are in EU, you can check out Zico, or if you like morning streams here in North America, you can check out Zico. I'll put some of his information somewhere on the screen. He's also an amazing player and he's quite funny as well. Number 2. Now, I'm really hesitant to give this class number 2, but for some reason, I just see this class going under the radar quite a bit right now. I know some players are talking about it, and that class is Moonkin. Moonkin, Boomkin, however you phrase them, they're dealing a lot of damage. They have a lot of utility like they've always had. They're quite tanky. I know some higher end players are talking about Moonkin and how much damage they're doing. They even got like a new disarm effect. They have amazing CC with Cyclone and Root Beam, entangling roots with their Solar Beam effect. Their off heals right now with that new healing aura or the healing affinity, resto affinity, is substantial. They are doing some amazing off heals, and I kind of like this about the class. I actually like that hybrid classes are supportive in terms of their healing output. However, the only issue with giving Moonkin number 2 in my mind right now is that there's only one range spec. So if you are going all in on Moonkin, there is the likelihood that it might get nerfed. We saw this in Legion. Moonkin was doing really well a few seasons. Like season 1 it was doing well, season 2 it was doing well, then it got nerfed, and then it came back, and then it got nerfed again. I'm just saying that at some point in the expansion they're going to do well. I expect them to do well going into Battle for Azeroth. They have so much to their toolkit that it's hard to really nerf Moonkins. Even if you nerf their damage, they still will have their off healing potential. Unless they nerf that, then they still have their CC potential, and they're very, very tanky. In Legion, Bear Form was insane. Iron Bark was insane. Frenzy Regeneration is insane. There's so many great things about Moonkins, and they have a decent selection of comps. They do very good in RBGs, number 1. They're great in PvE right now. They're great in 3v3s, and there is some amazing Moonkin 2v2 comps if you play it right. They just bring so much value to the team in terms of CC potential, defensive off-healing potential, even things like Innervate to keep their healer aggressive in terms of purges and things like that. So I really like Moonkins going into Battle for Azeroth. I expect them to do quite well. Not only do they have nice rot pressure, but they can pull out that burst potential. So I think Moonkin's a really nice pick for a lot of people. I don't think it's too hard to manage the class at first. Obviously, to excel at a Moonkin, you have to have some knowledge, but I would rank them a little bit underneath Mage in my opinion. Number 3. Now, again, number 2 and number 3 are very interchangeable in my mind, and I know there's classes like Hunters and Elemental Shamans that I did not mention in this video, and they might do well in the future, or they will do well, or they are doing well, but I still am going to give it to Warlocks. And the reason why I have a hard time giving Balanced Druids or Moonkin the number 2 spot over Warlocks at number 3 is because Warlocks have 3 different DPS specs, right? So as Moonkin, you only have Balance. Whereas Warlock, you have Affliction, Demonology, and Destruction. Now, right now in the beta, I know a lot of people are complaining about Warlocks not doing well. They're going when they fear too much. They don't have life tap anymore. They're very squishy. And a lot of this is true. There are some Warlocks dealing a lot of damage. I've seen some crazy Drain Soul ticks. I've seen some nice, Destruction Warlock damage. However, right now, they're a little bit subpar. And I know Shadow Priest could easily replace them at number 3 just based on the amount of control that Shadow Priests have. But again, they only have one spec. And I do not expect Warlocks to, be bad throughout the entire of Battle for Azeroth. I just don't believe that at all. We saw that in Legion where Warlocks kind of fell off at some points, but then at the end of Legion, they were absolutely insane. All 3 specs were insane. And I expect that to be the same in Battle for Azeroth. They're going to see a buff here in the future. So I think at some point, Warlocks will be very strong like they always have. They just have so many comps available to them. They're good in 2s. They're good in RBGs. They're good in 3v3s. They're always good in PvE. They're such a well-rounded DPS in my mind. That's hard to not put them at number 3 or even at number 2, despite them not being the greatest at this moment. And to be quite honest, that is one of the best positions to be in. Picking up a class that has done well in the past, it has a lot of history, it has a lot of, a wide variety of comps to choose from. Picking a class like that that's kind of underperforming at the moment is kind of your best bet sometimes, because you don't want to pick a class that gets immediately nerfed and then the beginning of the expansion isn't the most fun for you. At some point, it's going to get buffed again, it's going to do well, but you want to have a good start to Battle for Azeroth. So picking up a class that is kind of underperforming, you will definitely see some buffs, following maybe a couple weeks into Battle for Azeroth. We see the most amount of changes in any expansion during the beginning. So if it's not doing well now, I'm sure it will do well in the future. Now, as far as streamers go or content creators for Warlocks, there's not a ton of them. However, there is Maldiva on Twitch. You can go ahead and check him out. He does play a lot of Affliction Warlock. He plays a lot of Demonology Warlock. He's a multi-rank 1 Warlock, and he does answer questions. He's pretty friendly. I highly recommend checking out his stream. He streams for quite a bit. However, he is kind of on the nighttime side for NA, but if you're on EU, it might just be perfect. But overall, you guys, those are my top 3 casters based on my experience. Yes, I didn't mention Shadow Priest, and they probably could do amazing in the future. Yes, I didn't mention Elemental Shamans or Hunters, and they probably will do well in the future, and I will update this video. But for me, putting out a video out there for everyone that's wondering what classes to pick, these are my top 3 picks going into Battle for Azeroth. I gave you guys 2 classes that are doing very well, and I also gave you a class that's kind of mid-road right now, but will do well in the future that has 3 viable specs. That's gonna do it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you have any more questions about my top 3 picks, you can leave those in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Try not to miss me on my Twitch live stream where I answer all of your guys' questions in depth. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.